wish everyone a wonderful and beautiful new year. We're stepping into 2023. Super excited to really take this opportunity, as cliche as it is, to reflect on the years past of 2022, looking at and recognizing what no longer is serving us, letting those go so that we can step into 2023 with momentum, motivation, passion, and purpose to make that impact that we all desire in other people's lives. But before we get there, I really wanted to dive into shadow work and what shadow work is and what I've been recently going through. I think the holidays, one of the reasons why I love the holidays is that it gives us an opportunity to get triggered. I think everyone can say that over the holidays, the last month or two, we have more opportunities to see family, to have interactions, and rub up against people who we may not normally be around. And those are opportunities to get triggered. And when we have a trigger, it allows us to get curious. And that is something that is really what shadow work is all about. So when someone says something, does something, we get pissed off. It happens over the holidays often, as we have recognized what our authentic truth is and going, that rubs me the wrong way. That's not in alignment with who I am. And when that I'm getting triggered or I'm getting pissed off or whatever that is, it's an opportunity opener to get curious. And that curiosity is the start to shadow work. So when we have that trigger, when we have that made me angry, or why the hell did they say that? Whatever it may be, we get curious. And what that looks like is asking ourselves questions like, why did I respond that way? Or where in my life did I get reactive to that type of situation? What am I hiding? Who am I protecting? Where do these learned responses come from? And so when we can slow down and go, okay, I'm feeling the feels, I'm having a reaction, I'm feeling responses, instead of acting and showing up reactive, we want to actually go, okay, let's go get curious about this. And so when we take on the role of a gentle observer and get curious, things begin to shift. And a few amazing things can happen. First off, we can have some serious aha moments to understand our reaction process and decide if we're ready to let go of those limiting beliefs, past wounds, and finally forgive ourselves and others in our life so we can move forward, being more fully authentically ourselves. And secondly, we have the opportunity to take that energy and turn that anger, frustration, disappointment into motivation. I love that part, right? So this is the shadow work. After years of playing in the space of law of attraction, I could see the spiritual bypassing, the toxic positivity that often came along with it. The shadow work is the deeper healing to come, so that truly resets our vibrational field for manifestation. Diving in gives us the opportunity to heal more deeply. So when we stay in that space of like only positive vibes, well, guess what? All of those feels are getting shoved under the surface and not really moving. They're just shoved under the surface. So we really need to take a moment and go, actually, if I feel the feels, if I feel the anger, if I feel the sadness, if I feel the grief, if I feel whatever it may be, process it and release it, then my energetic state can be neutral. It can be positive. But if we're fake it till you make it and only have like that positive mindset alone, then we're doing ourselves a disservice. We can't actually step into manifestation and the true energy of law of attraction when we're just in positive vibes only. You're actually stuffing all of the feels, and they're going to start hindering the flow and the energy of your chakras, right? And so we need to feel the feels. And so we step into a space of doing shadow work, then things can process, then things can shift, then things can move out of your body that no longer serve you, rather than stagnating the flow of energy and causing us emotional and physical dis-ease in the body. Okay. So I want to kind of offer you some golden nuggets from my own personal experience over the holiday season. And I had a really charged one. And not like super charged, but there was definitely some highlights over the last couple months in my life that I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm going to pause. I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to dive in deep and see what's here. So here are some personal examples. So for many years, I've been connecting the dots on why I chose to marry someone 18 years my senior, leading to my horrific first marriage. Okay, daddy issues, obviously, but why? Where did that come from? Where did the daddy issues stem from? And how is it affecting my current, needing to be healthy marriage? Because I'm in a marriage with, someone who's very open-minded and supportive and loving and all of the things. But I could see in my current marriage all of these little sparks that would trigger, and they were coming from me because of my past. And so I really was motivated and over the last few months to go, no, I'm the issue here, and I need to heal this. So recently I discovered how my first marriage, around a lot of lack of trust and straight up emotional abuse, around me being a quote unquote bad wife for not having the house spotless, was affecting my current marriage as I superimpose those expectations of being the perfect wife, as I was living in fear of the backlash that would never come from my current marriage. But the question was still there. Why? Why was I still having this reaction? And through therapy, I knew it was stemming from me. Nothing my current husband has done has given me any reason to need his approval, right? So I was recently like in this state of curiosity and talking with my best friend, my childhood best friend, who's been in my life since like age 3. So she's seen me through it all. I've seen her through it all. We know each other front and back and sideways and know our past histories really well. And so I was talking with her and just getting curious with her. And I was telling her about my reactive qualities that I was working on releasing. And she said, do you think that's because your older sister needed so much time and attention from your parents that you were trying to compensate to get their attention? And it was like mind blown. Why? Because I could see what my past was, and I could see my attention seeking behaviors, and I could see all of these things, but I couldn't connect the dots. I just couldn't see where it was because my older sister needed so much support. And I have that limiting belief underlying that I'm a burden because of my parents needing so much attention for my sister, how I then was like trying to compensate. So I had this wow, aha, yes moment. And that's probably the why I've been trying to figure out for years. And I would do anything to get my father's attention as a child and try to be the perfect child, perfect grades, perfect Catholic to the point of nearly becoming a nun, perfect helper in his business. And I think most of it just was like he was kind of oblivious to, and I was just so trying to get his attention. So then when I married someone who did notice me and all the ways I was imperfect, that abuse cycle started. And so his abuse was his way of showing me all the ways I could be better. And now the expectation of abuse lived on inside of me. I could now see what I was doing, and the why no longer eludes me. So I can make a new choice when I feel triggered. I can actually take a step back and go, I can see where I would be triggered right now, but this isn't that relationship. This isn't my father. This isn't my ex. This is my current husband who has a completely different relationship with me. Right. And so when we have the awareness, it helped me motivate myself to fully love and accept myself, flaws and all, and know that my husband does the same. So that was like my big aha moment. So, and with that, I have more ex stuff coming up because during the holidays, my 16-year-old son has decided to live with me full time. He's been going to his dad 1 month and then to me 1 month. We both live in the same town, but we have such different parenting styles obviously, that it was really hard for my son to do a 50-50% like custody, going from 1 week to 1 week to 1 week to 1 week, because he couldn't change his mindset around mom's expectations versus dad expectations. His dad is very authoritative, and I'm very much more of a communicative, um, collaborative parent. And so when he was going back and forth between these two households, it was really difficult for him over the years. And so the last year we've tried 1 month to 1 month, and overall it was working. However, my son's is now 16. He turned 16 in October, and it was like something shifted. It's like that solar plexus like woke up, and he's ready to set some really firm boundaries with his bio dad. He came to his own authentic truth of going, this is why I've been treating my dad the way I treat him, and this is why I treat my mom the way I treat her, and just being really true to yourself. And so that solar plexus is a space of knowing who you are, knowing who you're not. And it was all coming together for my son to see this. So when my son is telling me like, okay, I'm ready to live with you full time, which means we have to go to mediation, we have to put some things in play, we have to do this as amicably as possible, even though there was some massive blow up fights with my son and his dad, right? Like I'm not available for that drama. Like that's one of my boundaries. Like I'm not available for that drama. So when I saw the storm coming, I get in gear and pre-set up my self-care. And so that's something that when I know shit's about to hit the fan and I'm going to try to be dragged into it and I don't want to be, I call up I set my Reiki sessions. I get my massage appointment scheduled. I get my counseling scheduled. I just do all of the things, whatever is available. I say yes to it on top of my regular stuff that I normally do. Like I get a Reiki session every week, right? So like I make sure that I have more than enough support to emotionally make it through the hard thing that I know I'm going to have to go into. Right. And be able to have the support to process all of those feelings so that I'm not stuffing anything and having more trauma to deal with later on. Right. So the mediation comes and goes, and overall, I'm feeling not too triggered about it. I feel like, okay, that went actually really well. My son got really clear on what he needs and what he wants. And we use a mediator who has been with us for, off and on for the last 10 years, who is a high conflict divorce counselor. Like he's got a PhD in high conflict divorce. And so, and now that my son is 16, the mediator's like, well, the court's going to decide with the son. So we're just going to start off with what he wants. There's no debate about it because that's what the court system would basically do. So it made it really so much easier dealing with all of this with my son. One, being able to stand in his truth and speak his truth and be clear about it, which in the past, he's been really wishy-washy because he was trying to appease his father's emotions. And now he's just done with that and saying what he wants. And so mediation came and went, and it was overall fine. I really kind of felt like, well, I think I've worked through all of these things. I've worked through a lot of the pieces around this relationship that needed healing. So I no longer have to be triggered by this. And especially when my son stands in his truth and I don't have to go into mama bear mode. Like I don't want to go into mama bear mode. I'm not available to do that anymore. He's old enough. He can do it. Right. So after mediation, I already had my counseling session set up. So I was like, well, I'll go anyway. I'm sure there's something that we can work on. Right. And so I'm pondering if we'll go over the aha moment around my childhood that I mentioned previously. And I'm just go in with an open mind thinking, I'm sure that there's something to work on. And I trust my counselor. She's awesome. She's a Reiki student, a shamanic practitioner, and I can be all the woo and it's okay. And so I love working with her. So I arrive, I feel her on and all the things that are going on. And she's like, well, let's just tune into your body and see if there's anything hiding in there. And I love that. I love the somatic approach of going, Your emotions, if they're stuck, they're going to be stuck in your body somewhere. They're going to be stuck in your tension. They're going to be stuck in feeling heavy, right? And so we get to play in this space of, okay, close your eyes, tune in, and recognize what shows up for you. And so as a clairvoyant, as someone who also does shamanic work, like we get to go into this space of just feeling all of the feels and seeing what shows up, seeing if there's visions or if there's emotions or if there's textures available to help me work through this process. Right. And so I'm like, okay, sure. We can just close our eyes, tune in, we do the thing. And it was like, yeah, I'm noticing something. I'm noticing the tension. I'm noticing how my jaw feels like it wants to lock down. I feel that tension moving up into my ears and it's in the back of my neck. What is this? And it's an opportunity once again to get curious. Here's that shadow work, right? So I'm feeling into it all and I'm like, it's a fucking cord. And it's to my father-in-law. And I had spoken to him over the phone over the holidays. And he said something that irked me, and trying to be polite, since I only talked to him a few times a year, I just kind of shoved it down and quickly moved on the conversation, not thinking much of it. It was just, habitual. I didn't address what he said. I just moved the conversation along. I didn't feel the feels. It was almost like a shock to me in the moment. And so I just kind of pushed it down and moved ahead, right? And here it was showing up in the counseling session, suppressed anger rearing its ugly head. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity to get curious, to look at it, to feel into it, to look at all of the sides of it, right? It's time to release. Like there's no need to hold on to any of emotions in your body. There's just, it's not serving us, right? So I recall the experience of talking to him on the phone. And I remember telling him about my business growth and my success from 2022 and my plans to expand in the new year. And I kind of come from the mindset of like, okay, if I was telling my own personal father this, he would be ecstatic. So perhaps that I would get the same response from my father-in-law. Like maybe it's that I want to make you proud. Look at how good I'm doing kind of energy. But instead, his response was, well, that sounds like a lot of work. You don't need to do that. Just accept what you've done and like do the minimum, kind of is the overall feeling I was getting. And I knew it kind of irked me, but I hadn't really explored the feels from it on the call. Like I just wanted to go, okay, whatever, and move on, right? And here it is. I'm in counseling session recalling it, and my brain is exploding like, what, why? Why would I limit my passion? Why would I limit my impact? This is me trusting the divine. This is me showing up in my authentic self, doing what I love. Why would anyone tell me to slow down and settle? And so there's the trigger, right? There's that energy, that anger, that frustration. And now I'm in a safe place to process it, to release the suppressed energy and cut the fucking cord, right? Transform that anger into motivation, right? And so this is that opportunity. This is the opportunity to take the energy and transmute it. So done. We processed, we shifted, we released the cord, and I can feel the motivation at hand. I feel that energy transformation into something that I can tangibly use to move forward. So the shadow work piece is in all of this is recognizing that the trigger was my response, not because my father-in-law at all. Like he's standing in his truth, right? Like he's a businessman, he's a financial advisor. Like he probably is coming from a lot of information, but I didn't go deeper with it to find out why he was giving me this piece of advice. I just moved the conversation along. So he was in his truth. It's not his fault for triggering me. I am responsible for my own triggers. And I can say that 3 more times on this podcast. You're responsible for your triggers. You need to figure out why you respond the way you do. That is your responsibility. And it was my responsibility to figure out this, right? So coming out of this, I was allowing my crown chakra point of view, that big picture point of view, to help lead me down my spiritual path. And instead of going, I have this motivation. I'm not just slowly dangling my feet. Like, I feel like 2022 felt fairly slow. It felt like I was gently meandering along my path. And it was okay because that's what 2022 needed. But now I feel like, okay, I am ready to run down this path. I'm so excited. There's no slowing down for me, right? So I'm taking that trigger, I'm transmuting it, and I'm bringing it forward to a place that is motivating me to be more authentically true to myself. So I left that counseling session feeling motivated rather than anger stuffed under the surface. And the following days have been magnetic to divine downloads for the next steps for my business, for the next steps, how I want to support my students and the industry itself, and all of the things. So had I not done the work to release, the ease and flow would not be available to me. Now I get to step into the gratitude and appreciation for all the beauty in my life and the way it shows up for me. Now I have the knowing the universe is always acting in my good and in my favor to help me align myself to my destiny. Okay. So I want you to feel into that, recognizing, okay, let's evaluate. The holidays can be really full, like overall full. They can be exhausting from going from one thing to the next. Like I recently, we tried to take a little vacation last week, right? And so we had done all of this work, and on our little vacation. We were just going to go to Montana's indoor, water park, right? And it wasn't ideal. The pictures are way better than what the actual thing was. And so we decided not to go the second day. We were going to go one night and then the following morning, and then come home. And instead we were like, I don't want to go back. We've got to find something else to do. And one of the things that I found, and this was in Billings, Montana, was a rage room. And I remember finding it on my phone and went, oh, this would be so cool to do. I don't know if I want to do this today, but this is really cool. Like I've always wanted to try this out. And this, I think, is the only one in the state. And I didn't even know it was here. And my son looks at me, here's my 16-year-old going through his solar plexus development, which is a lot to do with processing anger. And he's like, I want to go. He wants to go. He wants that energy. And so just like in counseling, where I get to tune in and close my eyes and feel, and I have the awareness of how my body feels and where I feel it and what it looks like and what texture it is and what color it is and all of the things, because I've developed this sense of clairvoyancy and clairsentience. Well, my son hasn't done that, and he hasn't been in a state of slowing down to do that process for the most part, right? And it's because he's 16 and, he's on his own spiritual path and journey, and it looks a lot different from mine. I recognize all this. And so when he says, I want to go to the rage room, I'm like, okay, let's go to the rage room. Why? Because here if we have emotions stuck in the physical body, going to a rage room, and I'll explain what this is, it's going to really help him physically move energy out of his body, right? So it's recognizing that we're holding anger in our body and move it out. So a rage room is basically a container, a safe container to get angry, to get ragey, to really bust things up. So what you do is you go in and you gear up. So they'll put you in a full body suit to protect your clothing. They'll give you shoe coverings, but they're like hard plastic, so you won't damage your shoes. They give you a whole face shield, right? And they also have like sledgehammers and bats and pipes and all these tools to do some serious damage on objects. And so you can get like a stack of plates or a case of beer bottles or an old TV or an old printer or faces, just, junk that probably has been no longer working or no longer functional, and it's just a space. And the rage room has a contract with recycling center, right? So all of those big pieces of televisions and printers and old computers and all that kind of stuff, they're doing them, the recycling center, service by smashing it rather than a machine smashing it, right? So you get to go into this opportunity of, I can safely release all of my anger. I can really come and bring all of my anger forward and get it out of my body. And so my curiosity, and so we do this, we definitely do this. And it was super fun. And the fact that I got to do it with my son and just be present with him and supportive of him and let him see, this is a safe place to get angry and do the healing work the way it feels good to you. So if you do have an anger room, a rage room, a smash center in your town, I highly recommend it. And know too that as you move the energy out of your body, you have this physical momentum of moving the energy forward, clearing it out in this really safe container. Then recognizing, now I've created a vacuum inside myself. I've created a space that now needs to be healed. This is where the Reiki can come in. This is where the healing energy can come in. And so what you do right afterwards, I feel, is really important and needs to have some awareness around, so that when we do our release work, when we go to therapy, when we do the things that are bringing the energy of the work, processing triggers, processing anger, it's moving out of our body and it might be leaving a vacuum space. So this is where we could go, okay, let's step into that space of going, now I have the void. What do I want to fill it with? What am I filling it with? Am I filling it with more anxiety, more frustration, and more whatever by what I listen to in media, with what's going on in my current situation? Or here's the quick opportunity to slow down and give ourselves Reiki, to put on healing music, to take care of ourselves, to drink water and slow down and really feel the nourishment and the vitality of what we're putting in our mouths, right? So I really felt like this holiday season kind of brought me full circle around the triggers that were still available to heal. Were like, here you go, here it is on a silver platter, and now you have the opportunity to really do the healing work, really to feel into what does that look like for you, and how is it best going to be uncovered? Is this through a Reiki coaching session? Is this through a shamanic Reiki session? Is this through going to your counselor? Is this in your rage room followed up by a Reiki session? Like, what do you need to do to really uncover the why, the shadow work of your triggers, so that you can step forward into 2023 going, I'm ready. I am fully ready and on board to move forward on my spiritual journey, on my path, and allow the divine spirit to communicate with me, to lead me, to show me, to give me those intuitive nudges for the next best step in my life. And what does that look like? And when you get triggered going, oh no, I can't do that, or I can't afford that, or whatever, those two are revealing limiting beliefs that we have about ourselves. And those limiting beliefs, we need to get curious about, why am I telling myself and subscribing to a story that I am not available for my healing work, or that I'm not worthy to make myself an investment so that I can do this shift, so that I can start walking along a path where I'm feeling, seeing, hearing all of those spiritual intuition, knowingness that's leading me to a place of divine trust, right? Because when we can be in that state of alignment, when we can be in that state of fully authentically ourselves and like conspiring with the universe, then our life can become magical. But when we have these triggers, when we have this inconsistent flow in our chakras, when there's sludge there, when there's heaviness there, it's getting in our way. It's getting in our way from fully showing up to do God's work. And use that word however you want, right? Like if you need to switch it out for divine or universe or whatever, like feeling into that, like if we're here as the divine expression of God, and the messages are coming through, but we're not able to fully bring them into our body, bring them into our knowingness, then we're stuck, right? We're stuck on a cycle. We're stuck on the hamster wheel of doing what we've always done and self-sabotaging ourselves to our greatest successes. And so when we can come into alignment, we come into that state of flow, we come into that vortex, we come into that zone of magic, that zone of genius, that's when we're able to be fully available to divine source wisdom, to the knowingness, to the universe always has my back type attitude, knowing that everything is happening for my alignment and for my greatest good. And that's a really lovely, lovely place to be. And I see students time and time again go through our programs, our signature programs. And this is the process. This is why I do what I do, is because I get to walk with you through that journey of finding those triggers and releasing them. And everything is set up in our programs to do this work so that you can be in a state of alignment to build your business, to have your physical and emotional healings, to really allow whatever is for your greatest good and your own unique way show up for you. So if you're interested in learning more, right now our Shamanic Reiki practitioner training is open for enrollment, and it is a 6-month program. And we learn how to, right away, we learn how to connect with our spirit guides, our power animals, how to communicate and really have intentional conversations, a knowingness, developing that clairvoyancy, that clairsentience, learning how to control it, all the while learning also business techniques, as well as moving and pivoting into learning how to offer shamanic sessions for others. So learning how to use the drum, the rattle, the feather, how to do chakra spinning and muscle testing and soul retrievals and cord cuttings, and all of the things is included in the program. But while you move through the program, you're doing your own personal healing work so that you can slow down, you can listen, you can hear your guides and take their advice as an advisor to your next steps, not to me, but to your authentic self. And so if you're interested, definitely check out the show notes, and we start January 15th. So we have not a lot of time. We have 14 more days before class starts, so 2 weeks, and we'd love to have you a part of the program. So definitely reach out to me. The website has all of the information, as well as an application. This is an application only process, as well as a link on the website to sign up for a connect call with me. So if you want to chat about it, we can talk, we can make sure that this is a right fit for you, and we can make a decision that's going to be for your highest good, right? It's very much is this an alignment? Is this an alignment? Is this an alignment process? And so if you're feeling into it and you're like, I feel like I want to know more, I want to talk to Christine, like, don't hesitate, book that call, fill out the application. So I have some background information on who you are so that the call can be efficient. But I would love, love, love to reach out to you. So far, we have 6 people enrolled, and so we have more spaces available. And we'd love to have you on it. The number one question I've gotten so far is, what's the time commitment? It's been about 3 to 5 hours a week for 5 months. And there are numerous calls, but we collect everyone's schedules so that we optimize our call schedule to make sure everyone can come to 1 call a week. So we don't have a set call schedule right now because we're taking in information from all of our new enrollees to decide what's going to be best for the whole group. Okay, with that, I hope you have a wonderful start to your 2023, that you feel motivated to get curious and do the shadow work and really feel into what's going to be your energetic, motivating word or goal for this year. I know resolutions don't typically last, but I feel like words can help bring us through a little more efficiently, right? Without limiting beliefs getting in the way. If we can just hold on to a word, go there, do that, share in our Reiki Cafe community over on the Facebook group what your word is. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care, everyone.